This far, it is absolutely teeming down with rain here on Ginger Island. I don't know if you can hear it. If you can, that's the rain, and it's quite heavy. It's been going like this now since 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, pretty much non-stop. I had to do the show last night, the Friday night social. I actually did it from here in the bedroom, upstairs in the you're in my bedroom, upstairs in the house on Ginger Island, because it's the place to get the best reception in the house. Unfortunately, the reception's much better on the boat dock, so that's why I'm here. I hope you can hear me okay. I hope I'm coming through on the mic. We had some audio issues apparently last night. I'm very sorry about that. I don't think I'm lit very well, so I'm going to turn this big light on here and then put that up there, and hopefully that'll make me look a bit more homely. I don't know. I don't know. We've got some people talking already on the chat. We've got Alec in there. We've got Blue Badger. We've got Cathal saying afternoon, morning all. We're down to my last 3 tea bags. I tried to keep one yesterday. I used it and then I kept it in another cup, but then I used the cup to kill a spider. Sorry, it was a really scary spider that could have done me some damage. And I know a lot of people go, "Oh, just put it outside and it won't come." Yeah, the spiders here, like if you've got one in the house, it's probably best just to get rid of them, as they can bite pretty badly. Unlike the ones in the UK that can't, kind of harmless. But yeah, I used the cup. The bottom of the cup. And now I'm scared to touch the cup. It's just downstairs, sitting there. I don't want to go anywhere near it. That's how arachnophobic I am. Hello, everyone, says Andrew Dixon. Hello, Andrew. Very generous. Andrew, who's given a few bloody big super chats. Thank you very much for that. Afternoon, Graham. After 5.5 days, it's nice to be home, says Gareth T. Afternoon, Badger, says One Angry Pagan. And George says, hi, all. Hi. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about... did we get the governments we deserve? One of the things that I discovered very early on, traveling around the world, is that you can't judge people by the actions of their government. Because it's unfair to go somewhere like Libya or Iran or, Venezuela or even America or the UK and say, oh, this government absolutely represents the people of the UK. Because obviously it doesn't. It only represents a number of the people of the UK, and that number is usually less than 50%. However, having said that, there is a part of me that just looks at what we consider normal, like what we consider like the normal course of conversation in the UK now, and the US, where people are going off on one, this culture war, manufactured culture war bullshit, manufactured by the right. The left don't really do. It's like they turn up and like, "Hey, but you're happy now, eh? What? Have you got universal basic income? No. There's an advert and it's got a transgender person on it for a bank or something. Okay, good representation. Just like okay." But the general discourse in the UK and the US and other countries, and what got me thinking about this is the fact that yesterday, the vice president of the Philippines, who is the daughter of the Duterte, the president that they had a few years ago, who was an absolute nightmare, who they replaced with the son of Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos. So you got these two dynasties now. You got the Duterte, the dirty Duterte dynasty, and then you've got the Marcos dynasty. And basically, as a role of vice president, they're elected separately. They're not on the same ticket. It's not the same system they have in the US. And she said yesterday that if anything happens to her, she has paid an assassin to take out the president and the president's family. In a new, like, she just said this, like, this is just normal. Her dad once bragged about throwing people out of airplanes. Yeah, I mean, fool me once, shame on me. Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I mean, like, how do people square the circle of like the tyrannical dictatorous regime of the Ferdinands and then the murderous regime of Duterte, and then go, yeah, we want their offspring. We want like a dynasty of these creeps. We want like a dynasty of these absolute freaking weirdos. And that really freaked me out. And I started thinking, like, do we get the governments we deserve? Does the Philippines deserve that government? I would say no. I would say the reason why the Philippines is the way it is because of something a Filipino once said to me. He said, I wish I'd been invaded by the British. And that's a really weird thing to say. He said, yeah, but the Spanish brought Catholicism and the Americans brought bloody guns, and now the place is like, and I was like, okay, I can see your point. Like, I'm not going to go along with this whole I wish I was invaded by the British, but the idea being that would be preferable to who actually did invade the Philippines, which was Spain and then America, effectively, after World War II. I mean, you go into a supermarket in the Philippines and there's a sign up that says, please leave your firearms here, while you do your shopping. Please leave your gun here while you do your shopping. Thank you. Nice little happy sign with a smiley face on it. I say, bloody hell. All the sort of bits of American culture to send around the world. That one, that particular one. And so part of me feels sorry for these places. Part of me feels sorry for the UK. I would hate someone to look at me and judge me by the actions of the last 14 years of the Tory government. I hate that. But at the same time, maybe there is a reason why we end up with these particular governments, which are insane, cruel, they're sadistic, they want people to suffer, they enjoy watching people suffering, they get off on it, they do, these people get off on it, and you can't sugarcoat that. These people it's hard to go, oh, this person is evil and this person's good, because it doesn't really work that way. Good people are capable of doing some horrible things, and horrible people are capable of doing good things in general. But if your primary motivation in this life is to cause other people discomfort, pain, suffering, and death, you're not a good person, are you? You're not. And yet those people are the ones who rise to the top. And I wanted to talk to you this morning and get your sort of take on this. Of like, what's to blame? Why is it? Because I don't believe that it's us. I don't believe that we're intrinsically attracted to horrible people. I think some people are, but not over 50%. Nowhere near over 50%. But what I think is this. I think that we have really dropped the ball. The progressive side of things, the socialist side of things, the left-wing side of things has really dropped the ball in controlling the means of communication, of information. It is our information intake is absolutely dominated in the UK by the right wing and the old public schoolboy network. Dominated. And it'll be the same in the Philippines. It's the same in the US. Absolutely dominated by billionaires, whether it's Musk owning Twitter or whether it's Rupert Murdoch owning Fox News. These moguls, as they call them, the oligarchs, really. They control the information that people get. And it's becoming harder and harder for people to process that information with the rise of, AI and just fake news in general and social media not really having any kind of, I don't know, parental controls for the parents, the parents who need the parental controls. And that's why I think we end up with the governments that we end up with, because we don't take the supply of information seriously enough. We really don't. We don't fight against disinformation enough, misinformation, and we don't flood the zone with our own takes on things. We are a small subset, of the talking space on the internet. I mean, it's a lovely subset, and I love having you all on. And 14 of you have given us a thumbs up, so that's a good sign. If some more of you want to do that, that'd be great. But I do feel like that more than education, I think more than education, because you get a lot of people who go to really good schools who end, tyrannical bastards, end up like tyrannical bastards. But I think it would really, really help, and then we will get a better caliber of politician if we took the controlling the flow of information seriously. Your data as well, your data. And so I think that the argument on the left has moved from controlling the means of production to controlling the source of data, like controlling the source of information, making sure that it's true at the very least. I mean, that should be, propaganda aside, that should be one thing that we should all be aiming towards. We've had a few super chats come in. Thank you very much. Alec Barrett, I want to give you a mention because you have been a member for 6 months. Graham, Mr. Hughes, you look like a boiled ginger. Oh, okay. Do I? Maybe I should turn the light settings because it's on yellow. I can set it to blue. There you go. Is that better? Is that better? Am I looking less boiled now? Actually, it looks a bit like a Scandi fucking drama that done it. Hello, we found the body. Let's move on. A most engaging and lively debate last night. Someone angry pagan. Yes, it was a bit Marmite, mate. Some people loved it. Some people absolutely hated it. Oh my god, did some people hate it? QA Libraries in there at £2. Thank you very much. I would recommend Mark Blythe Brown University. Thank you for that. My mum's there. Hello, mum. Collectively, yes, we do. Gareth saying, I think that's a response to whether we get the governments we deserve. Gareth says, I missed last night as I was still on the road. I left Scotland at 4 a.m, literally running a storm. Got home and dropped the lorry off at 10:30 a.m. Wow, wowzers. Well, beats working in a jail, I guess. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Too many average voters only think small picture. And yeah, I don't know. I feel uncomfortable putting all the blame on the voters. Obviously, that's an easy thing to do. It's got bloody Brexiters, bloody MAGA Republican voters. And I do get that, and I do it myself. No shame. However, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think that's true to an extent, but also the fact that there's a great little documentary. I think it was part of Charlie Brooker's Screenwipe back in the day, and it was Adam Curtis, and it was just a short. It wasn't like a full Adam Curtis hour-long documentary. It was just a 15-minute thing, I think, or even a 5-minute thing, but it was about how in Russia, Vladimir Putin's got this right-hand man who is like an advertising exec and into his psychology. And what they discovered was that they were best off just confusing everyone. Because if you confuse people, then you make them easier to manipulate. Because once you've put people in a state of mind that they feel stupid, they're more likely to do what you want them to do. And this is a trick that is used by hypnotists, used by people, mesmerizers like Darren Brown. And he's very honest about it. He'll come to shake your hand, for instance, but instead of shaking your hand, he'll shake your wrist, which confuses you. You think, why is he shaking my wrist? And while your brain's trying to work out why Darren Brown is shaking your wrist rather than your hand, he's taking your watch. And you haven't noticed because you were too busy being confused. So this, I wish I had his name in front of me. I should have done a bit of prep for this, but the island's gone back underwater after 2 weeks of strenuous exercise, draining the bloody thing. But at least it's sweet water, as they say on the boat. It's rainwater. It's going to be washing that salt away and allowing the grass and the plants and the trees to regrow. So that's good, as long as the tide isn't coming in, because that's the big problem. Although I do think that probably the next few days is going to be spent digging a drainage channel from the centre of the island, just about a foot deep, not very deep, but a drainage channel that's actually going to go out to that little one-way pipe that we have at one end of the island. It'll take a long time to drain, but there you go. Funny fact, we've got something like an 800-gallon tank downstairs of water, and it's nearly empty, even though it's been raining here for like over since forever, for like over 20 hours or something. The reason why it's empty is I left the tap for the toilet. The toilet obviously has got its own tap, so you can turn it off, and the overflow that when you press the toilet flush, the hatch opens and the water goes down. The hatch had stuck open a little bit, so it's been draining out all night. So even though we've had that much rain, the island's underwater. I don't have enough water to have a shower. Shit. The perils of living off grid on a bloody desert island. Plus, there's no power. I've got no power today. I'm running off batteries at the moment because there's not enough sunshine to get the power to the solar panels. True story. Yay. Anyway, thank you to One Angry Pagan for that £2 super chat. That's very kind of you. Hey folks, the ginger of ginger. Yes, it's some ginger on ginger action on video. No, you wanted that. You look normal now. Thank you. One Angry Pagan. Another £5. Thank you very much, One Angry Pagan. So effectively, the left needs a good bard, a decent orator, someone who can craft an effective narrative that the average voter can get with. It's not that I don't 100% agree with that, because I've heard that before where people go, we need a Nigel Farage of the left. We need someone who communicates with someone really well. I don't think that's as important as combating disinformation and having these kind of discussions boosted by either. I don't think that the rich people are going to fund a collective over here that actually pays us a wage, so we get benefits. Me and Aid and Zoe Gardner and Femi and everyone. We get X amounts a month. We get paid. We pay as you go. Pay as you earn, so pay as you go, that's a phone thing. Pay as you earn, so we don't have to pay for an accountant to do our accounts at the end of every year, which costs £500 plus VAT. I think that kind of thing would really help. I think I'd rather have the support, and I think that by dint of that support, great things will grow out of it. And you might think, well, Phil does all right on his channel, which he does. But Phil has to make videos that he doesn't want to make. He wants to make videos talking about Labour policy. He wants to make videos talking about, particular issues. But he is always aware of the algorithm. He knows that if he makes a video about Nigel Farage's latest brain fart, then he'll get loads of views on that and he'll earn some money. Whereas if he does a video about Yvette Cooper's policies, in the UK, for policing or something, it's not going to get anywhere near as many hits. But he would rather make that video. I don't want to speak for Phil. I was giving that as an example, but I know that Phil would rather not give Trump or Farage the airtime. They love it. They love the fact that we spend half our time talking about them. We don't want to. We'd rather talk about other stuff. But if we don't talk about these fuckers, no one watches our videos and we don't make any money. So even the streamers who are doing all right are not, doing what they want to do, are producing the content they want to create, unlike the people on the right who are being paid by the Koch brothers, by the Barclay brothers, by the freaking Lord Rothermere, they're being paid by the Heritage Foundation, the 55 Tufton Street scum, all that lot, the Institute of Economic Affairs and all that bullshit, Civitas. They're getting paid by these think tanks. They work for these think tanks and they get paid as a correspondent for that think tank. And it doesn't matter if they only have, 67 people watching them. It doesn't matter. They're still getting their content out and they're still getting paid. And they don't have the panic that people on the left feel. So I feel like that would really help. And obviously, I'm biased. I've got a vested interest. Let's put the cards on the table. I've got a vested interest in that. But I know that a lot of my friends who make content online, we discuss this a lot, and we're like, what is the one thing that would help us more than anything? And it's just the alleviation of the stress of making a video and not knowing whether it's going to do all right or not. You spend all day making a video and only 5 people watch it, and you're like, oh my God. Or even like 1,000 people watch it, which sounds great, but it's only $1. Like a quid for 1,000 people. You get a quid off Google. Google goes, here you go, well done for that video that had 1,000 people watching it. Here you go, have £1. If you did a stand-up show and 1,000 people turned up to watch your stand-up show, you'd make a lot more than £1. I would like to believe. If someone turned up to see your gig, Gareth T says, so much happier now. I'm not in prison, far less stressful. Once you're home, I'd love to give you the inside uncensored story. Ooh, okay, Gareth, I'm up for that. And thank you very much for the super chat. That's very kind of you. Do we need a bard? Do we need a bard? Maybe we do. Let's go on a little bit. Rain, beautiful rain. Anatoly says, if one party is saying it's raining outside, the other saying this isn't raining. The media's job is to look outside to tell us who's telling the truth. Yeah, but they very rarely do that. And here's the thing: like, if we were talking 25 years ago, we couldn't be doing this. I couldn't be broadcasting from a bloody off-grid island off the coast of bloody Panama. Do you know what I mean? To you all, literally, if they wanted to, billions of people who have access to YouTube. I could be broadcasting to. The ability to do this is just insane. Like, that is something that 25 years ago people would kill for. Like, people are like, what? I can just broadcast it like everyone in the world? What? I mean, they don't even have to go like anywhere. They can just stay where they are because the phone is in their pocket and they can just watch it literally on their phone. My God, the power you would have. And now we're here, and it doesn't seem like magic because it's here. We're not making the most of it. Labour are certainly not making the most of it. This was the Labour social channel. I changed to the politics social channel, mostly because I didn't want to be seen as the mouthpiece for the government, which I'm not, and I don't want to be representing the government in any way and say something that might, get them or me into trouble. But also, like, they didn't give us any support. We'll stuff them. They didn't say, we'll get in touch. We'll get some MPs on your channel. We'll talk about policy. We'll do this. We offered, me and Phil, we offered left, right, and centre. Can we do something? Can we do something? And they were just like, maybe when there's an election, we'll have a think about it. So, like, for 6 weeks, they did some social media, and they were good at it. I mean, the YouTube, the TikTok videos that Labour did were great, but and we complain that Labour comms are just inadequate, if not worse, yet reject the idea of having effective communicators to combat the misinformation that must be fought. Yeah, I agree to some extent, but the thing is, right, there are effective communicators who are left-wing. There's a lot of them are actors. Some of them are singers, musicians, and they are very effective commentators. They're very effective speakers, orators, stand-up comedians even. But I don't know if it cuts through, because we saw with the American election, although Trump's only won by a tiny fraction of the vote. I mean, I think if 120,000 people have voted the other way in the 3 Rust Belt states, then Kamala would have won. And 120,000 out of 330 million people is quite a small number. Having said that, Kamala did surround herself with celebrities. She had all these famous people coming out on stage, Eminem and Oprah and Beyonce, saying, "Yeah, we love you. You think you're great." And I don't know if it did their campaign that much good, because the stuff that people were concerned about, which was everyday life and paying for the groceries and stuff like that, and how much gas cost, that was the stuff that they were centering on. And then seeing a millionaire or a billionaire standing next to Kamala on stage saying, "Yeah, really like the cut of this woman's jib," but it just felt a bit dissociated. So I don't know if certain people would be good orators for the political parties, people in the entertainment industry, because I don't know if it works. Maybe it does. The few that have nailed their colours to the mast, like Dave Rowntree and Tom Gray from Gomez, I mean, they both ran as candidates in the last election. They both lost. They didn't win. Neither of them won their seats. So I don't know. I think you need somewhere in between, because one of the problems you have with MPs, a lot of politicians, is they're boring as hell. I had this problem when I was, traveling, filming stuff, and it was a bit of a pain, because if I tried to do an interview with anyone, technically I needed to get them to sign a release form, which I couldn't really do. I can't walk around the world with a clipboard and loads of bloody release forms in all these different languages. So generally speaking, I'd just explain to them on camera what we were doing if they agreed to be on it. But a lot of people I talked to were lovely, honestly, the sweetest, kindest, most generous, lovely people. But they weren't particularly great on camera. Like, the camera was on, and the way they spoke was very stilted. It wasn't entertaining to listen to, and that's not their fault. They're not professional orators. They're not professional presenters. I get it. I get that. But I think we also had that problem with MPs, because a lot of MPs, they're not really particular media savvy. I'm not talking about the front bench lot who getting all that training, but the rest of them, they don't really do social media very well. They don't really do traditional media very well. When you go to a party conference and you might have an MP on one of the panels, if it's someone that you know, if you know the name of or you know their face, generally they'll be good. They'll be really good. So Stella Creasy will be brilliant. Emily Thornberry, fantastic. But then you'll get someone who's like a backbencher you never heard of, who's the MP for, Bockington on Trot, and they don't have it. They just, whatever it is that a good orator needs to get the message across, and you can tell that they've become the MP. Maybe they're a good constituency MP, but they probably haven't gone into the job to become a front bencher, to stand up much in Parliament, to speak, to ask those questions in PMQs, to bring forward private member bills. Perhaps that's not their MO at all. I don't know, but yeah, it would be nice. But I would say that looking out for the Nigel Farage of the left, as it's often referred to, it's a little bit of a unicorn hunt, I think. No offense, One Angry Pagan, because I get it. I think that there might be someone out there who would be fantastic for that job. I'd like to give them that job. I'd like to pay them handsomely for doing that job. I'd much prefer it was a woman. I much prefer it was a trans woman. I much prefer it was a black trans woman. We'll see. But I think that the first thing we need to do to stop people from getting the governments they deserve is getting them to a point where they understand what's going on a lot better, helping to stem the flow of misinformation and make it clear to people, because a lie can be told in a second, whereas the rebuttal to that lie takes at least a minute. And that's the problem. A lie has got its pants on, ran around the world before the truth has even got out of bed, So I'd like to concentrate on that side of the issue. And I think there's some pretty fucking entertaining people on the internet at the moment. I think Abe Thompson is bloody brilliant. I can't believe he only gets like a fraction of the views of others. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. He presents so well. Ben Chambers of 16 Million Rising. If you ever listen to his radio show, oh my God, it's so professional. It's so well put together. Like if the BBC put that show together, you wouldn't notice it. You wouldn't think, oh, well, that was a bit shoddy for the BBC. That was a bit amateur hour for the BBC, wasn't it? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. So being able to promote these voices, Femi does great videos. I mean, what he says is really cool a lot of the time, except when I disagree with him, and then we have an argument. That's fine. A debate. We never argue, like me and Mikey, but like me and Phil. Yeah, his videos could do with being a little bit better technically. Saber Subtansky, she's absolutely brilliant. She's hilarious. She's really funny. Her comedy timing is down pat. She's sarcastic. She's sardonic, but her style is just very much look at the camera and say what you want to say, and and then we're done. And with just someone helping her, someone working part-time on graphics, on sound, on all that kind of stuff, the technical side of things, to let her do what she does best, which is writing and presenting her scripts, that would go a long way. That would go a long way. So maybe the people that we're waiting for, maybe the Nigel Farage of the left is already here. They just need our support. Mitch Benn, he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant, and he's a stand-up comedian. He's a great musician. He's very left-wing. He hates the Tories. Another person who would be, good for a foundation, a think tank, a left-wing think tank to support as a group of people who make videos. Zoe Gardner, her content is phenomenal. It is absolutely brilliant. Abby Heffer, who makes videos about authoritarianism, she is absolutely really, really good. And obviously, Marina Perkis and Gemma Forte do presenting gigs. I mean, they're working for Global now with the Troll podcast, and that's fantastic and brilliant. And they're two of the best known faces of left-wing commentary on TV. They're always on the Jeremy Vine show, getting those clips in. Do you remember when Marina did the interview with Jacob Rees-Mogg and she wiped the floor with him? It was glorious. Great, fine, support us because Marina still does a full-time job on top of all the media stuff that she does, and being a full-time mum to two very young children. Yeah, I don't know. She must have an hour of the day generating machine because I just don't know how she does it. But again, like this is something that I think we could all help with. I don't, like I said earlier, I don't think a millionaire is going to come along and say, "Yeah, that's a great idea, Graham. Let's set up a foundation." I think it's going to have to be crowdsourced. But as my friend Trane pointed out the other day on one of the chats I'm on, he said, "Well, actually, Graham, if you think about it, if we had just 8,000 people giving a tenner a month subscription to our foundation, to our think tank, that would pay everyone's wages and their pensions and their sick pay and everything, and then whatever you make online is, you get to keep that. That's your bonus on top. That's your performance related pay, because that's what we are here on YouTube at the moment. We are performance related pay, but there's no way of predicting. I mean, honestly, there's no way of predicting whether a video is going to do well or not. Yeah, you can think, I'll talk about Nigel Farage. A Nigel Farage video will do as well. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just don't do very well. And if you've spent a day doing a video and it gets 20,000 views, you get 20 quid. All right? 20 quid for the day of work that you've done. Not great. It's the income from social media, I think, should be a nice addition to having that, knowledge that you're getting a weekly wage. Gemma and Marina, they're so good, says SG. Yes, they are. Could I join a Friday night stream sometime if you're willing, Graham? I've streamed with both Ollie and Daily Blase by Reagan Elise, and would love to chat with Mikey Way and Mike Tansky sometime. Yeah, just get in touch, man. Just get in touch. We'll try and organise that. But let leave it till I get back to the UK so I can actually produce it. Can I mention Ian Hislop? Says Michael. Well, I don't know if he's he's not actually that much of a lefty. I mean, he's not. I don't know. He's very posh. He went to private school. I mean, one of the things I like about a lot of the people that we sort of hang out with is not all of them went to public school. Some of them did. Some of them did. I can give you a list now if you want, but most of us went to normal state schools. Which is why it's so frustrating when you get people calling us grifters for asking for money, and we're like, well, if we were right wing, we wouldn't have to do this. If we were right wing, we'd be doing exactly the same thing, and that's what they want us to feel, and so we give up. So we either go to the dark side, which is unlikely. Like I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't think any of our gang, the people who make videos and appear on these sort of shows, I can't see any of us going to the far right. Unlike some people who work on other platforms that we don't really have much to do with, who ostensibly are left wing, but I think any day they could switch. I could give you a list of their names as well. But I never bought that Russell Brand was left wing. I never bought that he was a socialist or he cared about common people. He went to the Sylvia Young School of Acting. The fees there are exorbitant. I don't know if you got I don't know if he got a scholarship or something. I don't think he did. But there's a very, very rich man in his private jet telling people how socialist he is. Yeah, I never fell for it. It was just the wrong look. And he's a grifter. He's someone who will change what he thinks or his opinions for the money. And he did. He grifted into New Ageism, and then he grifted into COVID denialism and conspiracy theories, and now he's a full-on Trump MAGA supporter who has been baptized in a river by the chief scout for some reason. I don't think he's the chief scout anymore after doing that. I'll keep an eye on Discord, Graham. You know what? I've got a thing on my phone, and it's got like a list of things I've got to do while I'm here on the island. If it's a rainy day, which it is today, and it just says Discord, capital letters. I always forget. I just forget. Patrick Morris, what do you call reform? I call them far right. Yes, they are. This is pertinent to why peeps keep supporting all the bullshit. Where's the extreme right? If someone can show me what? The extreme right? Where are they? They're everywhere, mate. They're running the show. That's why we're obsessed for some reason with the what's in people's fucking sandwiches. You know, the conversation, the political conversation has got so juvenile, so pathetic, so childish. Like, yeah, look at in the 90s, it would have been gay. It would have been like, oh, your sandwich is gay. Yeah. And here we are, middle age, and we're still doing the same thing. Oh, your sandwich is woke. It's pathetic. The culture war stuff manufactured by the right to try and drive a schism between people. And sometimes it works with transgender people. Well, not transgender people themselves, but with the people who don't really think too much about transgender issues and just go, oh, it's a man wanting to come and watch me wee. Yeah, because that's something that you'd have to go through a strict regimen of sex change, hormones and operations and all kinds of things to do. Yeah, you couldn't just see that on the internet. You just couldn't. There's just no way of seeing that on the internet. It just doesn't exist. Fuck's sake. Anyway, Tensi's great. As is academia. Again, agree with you, Wang Yang. The idea you can counter extreme right with being in the centre is probably outdated now. Oh yeah, okay. I might have missed that, but yeah, I agree. I agree. And here's something that I was going to mention, and thank you for jogging me on this one, jogging my memory. Trump is always in the news. Boris Johnson was always in the news. Nigel Farage is always on the news. He's always on a Question Time. Why? It doesn't matter if they do a really bad performance in anything they're doing, whether it's a talk about bullshit, Trump talking about getting electrocuted by a shark or something, whether it's Boris Johnson talking about Peppa Pig Land, or whether it's everyone laughing at Nigel Farage for losing 7 successive elections to become MP, an MP. It doesn't matter. They're out there. You see them every day. Everyone recognizes them. And you've got to understand the power of brand recognition. And whether that's Joe Brand or Russell Brand, it doesn't matter. People know who they are. And one of the things that the left don't do very well is putting themselves out there. We saw this with Labour MPs. I mean, no one knew who the front bench were. Like, loads of people on the front bench. They were just unknowns to a lot of us. Even people who were politics wonks didn't really know who they were. It was like, oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, okay. That one. Okay. Yvette Cooper. Oh, I know her. I know Johnny Reynolds because I went to uni with him. Yeah. David Lammy. Yes, he was in the last government. I know David Lammy. Ed Miliband. He was the leader. Okay. Phew. At least I know 4 of them. Maybe 5 if you include Keir Starmer. I mean, that's something that the other side are really great at. I mean, they get themselves out there. You can't knock them for that. You get people like Leanderthal getting himself on all kinds of shit, and GB News. You get Rees-Mogg, he's got his own show, and GB, they make sure that people turn on the radio or they turn on the telly or whatever, they go on the smartphone, and there'll be that person doing something. And they might not even click on the bloody article or this video. It might be a video slagging them off. It doesn't matter. It's the brand recognition, and that's something that the left don't have. And the way that the left could have that is just becoming more outrageous. Femi said something earlier this month that I've said for years, and it's brilliant that it went viral. It went absolutely viral because he said poppies are virtue signaling. And I was like, yes, Femi, they are. And he was trending. He was trending on Twitter, or what's left of Twitter, X, or the X thing. The people were talking about it. And I was like, brilliant. You can't be centrist about it because that's not going to get in the news. That's not going to get people riled up. That's not going to get people debating stuff. You need people to be, yes, out there and say, yes, let's tax the rich. No, you don't want to tax the rich? Okay, well, let's eat them instead. You don't really mean that, do you, Graham? You see, that's the kind of stuff we need. And because that will get on the news. Fucking, it would. People would talk about it. People are like, bloody hell, did you see that guy said he was going to eat the rich? Yes. I'm going on September the 2nd next year. I'm going to eat one rich person live on television in the Solomon Islands, where it's still probably legal. I don't know. Sarah says gender reassignment surgery is not a 5-minute procedure. I was in theatre for 4 hours, spend a week in hospital in London, and another 2 weeks in Cardiff with an infection. Bloody hell, Sarah, that's a lot. But exactly, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, no one's going to go through all that just to go and watch a woman pee when you can watch that shit on the internet? Like, why would you put yourself in that? Why would you? Oh, sorry, I knocked my mic and it's attached to the phone. Can we nominate your meal? Positive social. I don't know. You kind of think, oh, you don't want to eat someone who's like Boris Johnson because he's fat, isn't he? He'd just be all fat. But then again, the animals that have got a lot of fat in them, like lamb and pork, they taste the best, don't they? North Sentinel Island is nice this time of year. Yeah, in the Andamans. That's the island that if anyone goes to, they get spears thrown at them and killed. There was a YouTuber who went over there and he got killed a few years ago. Don't go there. Precisely brand recognition because it's all about the feels now, baby. Yeah. So it's not about what anyone's saying. You can see this from Trump. You can see this from Boris Johnson. Like Boris Johnson genuinely talked about fucking Peppa Pigland. This was when he was Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And he's doing this speech to these, like, I don't know, financiers or someone, the fucking Economics Foundation. And he's talking about Peppa fucking Pigland. I mean, what? And that Trump just trundling on his stream of consciousness shit, that he does at his rally. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All that matters is that you dominate the news agenda. No publicity is bad publicity. It's something that the left need to learn. And yeah, being a bit more out there really does help, and saying stuff that maybe you shouldn't say. I remember Terry Christian once getting into lots of trouble for saying that he hopes after the Brexit vote we have a particular virulent, strong strain of flu this year, wipe out all the people who voted for Brexit. And obviously he was joking, but he got a lot of publicity out of it. He went on all the TV shows and they said, oh, you said this. And he went, yeah, I did. And before getting to the point, years of therapy to assess surgery is the right thing for me. The NHS won't operate it. They don't think it's the right thing for a person. Yeah, Sarah. Yeah, exactly. And this is the sort of thing that people don't think about. They just see the headline. They just see the headline of some horrible turfy dickhead like Sharon Davis or J.K. Rowling, who's had plastic surgery. Like, I mean, it's not just the fact that she wrote Harry Potter about, not being a big bully, and that bullies get their comeuppance one day. She also has had plastic surgery. She's clearly had plastic surgery, which is fine. It's fine. If you just, want to have plastic surgery, as I've said, it's your body. You can do with it what you please. But that's gender affirming care, love. That's literally gender affirming care on your face because you didn't feel you looked feminine enough or something. Why would a woman who feels that she doesn't look feminine enough have a problem with trans people? Answers on a postcard. Scott's there saying, and in doing so sucks up airtime. Yes, exactly. There's only so much bandwidth in a day for most people. And if we're into politics, we'll know a lot about all the different dickheads and chancers and prancers who populate the political landscape of this country and other countries, especially in the US. But if you're not, and you're into your football, or you're into your D&D, or you're into your video games, or you're starting out in a relationship, you've just got married, you've just had a baby, you've just bought a house, things are happening in your life that you need to be getting on with. Do you have the time or energy to actually waste listening to what, people like me have to say? No, you don't. But also, you don't have the time to listen to what Trump has to say, or Farage, or any of those little creeps. But you'll see them anyway. You won't see me because I won't be on blasted all over the TV for saying something or doing something outrageous. And I go, oh my God, it's his downfall now. It's his downfall. Do you remember last year, Nigel Farage was whinging about the fact that he wasn't allowed to have an elite bank account, a VIP bank account with some fucking toff bank that was run by a woman called like Miss Money Coots, the Money Coots family, who writes for the Telegraph and says things like, oh, well, people should just pick themselves up by the bootstraps. I know what it's like to work hard. My daddy got me a job at the Telegraph when I was in my 20s, and it was very difficult. I had to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning one morning. It was awful. I mean, it was a disaster and many people died, but I mean, 6 o'clock in the morning, could you imagine? Anyways, he couldn't get a bank account. He couldn't get a bank account with this fucking Coots bank, and he made a big fucking song and dance about it. And the people at Clacton saw that, and went, yeah, he's the guy I want to represent me. The guy who's the representative of the people who have enough money to have a Coots account, which you have to be a millionaire to have. Brilliant. Brilliant working class people of Clacton, you fucking idiots. But they don't know. They didn't see those stories. They didn't see the end of it. They didn't know how it resolved. All they saw was Nigel Farage's stupid, ugly, god-awful mug. This sort of dissolved blancmange of a face with these big, fucking disgusting, bulgy toad eyes and these yellow nicotine-stained teeth. They just saw him on the front cover of all the newspapers. Oh, it's Farage. I remember him. Yeah. What's he doing these days? Yeah, brand recognition. 16-second soundbite. Humanity is now officially golfing. It always was, mate. It always was. A 6-second soundbite is just a slogan. It's just a slogan. We've always had slogans since advertising started in the 1920s, I guess. For 100 years, we've had slogans, you know? It is the eternal fight, though, getting most people caring enough about the politics and realizing it's about them. Yeah, it is, Scott. You're right. But also we can do stuff. We can elevate the position of the people who are making these points so that they're on the front cover of the newspapers every day. Who would you rather have on the front cover of the newspapers, right? Seriously, right? Alex, Political X, and Marina Purkis, right? Depending on your sexuality, or Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson and Donald fucking Trump. Who would you rather have on the front of the newspaper because they did something? I'd much rather have Alex and Marina, thank you very much. Or Tansky, or Gemma, or Femi, or, you know, I'm just saying. Mike Galsworthy, brilliant. Put him on the front cover of all the newspapers. Lovely Mike. Trump in his speech about saying trans is a new thing invented by the left a few years ago should watch The Danish Girl and look up Magnus Hirschfeld. Yes, and also there were trans people in the 1930s, weren't they? And they were the first group that were taken out by the Nazis. And there was a sex clinic in Germany at the time that was destroyed, and the books were burned, all the journals and everything, by the Nazis. Easy target. Go after a minority or a minority. It is the eternal fight. It is indeed. Gonna get new rats soon. Need to think of names. Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, Donald Trump. Well, you know, our friend of the channel, Mike Dix, who does the Trumpton cartoons, and he's on the Friday Night Socials. He's mentioned it on the show, so you won't mind me saying this, but he's suffering from bowel cancer at the moment. It's pretty serious, and he's called his cancer Donald Trump, and he's hoping to have Donald Trump removed by an operation next month. We will see, but it's very telling that he called it that. I remember the writer who wrote Singing Detective, whose name is now escaping me. He wrote Karaoke, Blue Lazarus. Tell me his name. Who wrote The Singing Detective? Dennis Potter. Dennis Potter, when he had cancer, he called his cancer Rupert Murdoch. That's very telling. And that was like 30 odd years ago. 30 years ago. Plunker says, hope you're doing well, Graham. Keep positive and don't allow any negativity from around the world take away from the amazing place Ginger Island will be. Oh, thank you, Plunker. I think we're going to be stuffed for the next week, by the way, because we are predicted rain every day for the next week until I leave. Like literally every day until I leave, we're going to be having downpours. And I was looking like the day cycles to see if we get any sunshine. We get like 3 hours of sunshine on Friday afternoon. I'm like, oh shit. Mike was very open about this on a Friday social. Yeah, he is, because I mean, obviously, it's raising awareness as well of the fact that we need to get checked for this kind of thing. You need to get your prostate checked. You need to make sure that when you're a certain age, you go for a shit. You don't shit blood, and which is difficult if you're red, brown, colorblind. But maybe you could get someone else to assess your poo. But yeah, I think it's very telling that people who have cancer regard certain people as an equivalent to that. And I do think we would have moved on further as humans towards a cleaner, greener, happier place had people like Trump and Musk and Murdoch never existed, or the environment for them for them to thrive, for that kind of chancer, con artist, scumbag, backstabber, a society in which those type of people don't rise to the top. That's what we need to build. And yeah, in order to do that, we need to build the society that we want to see. And then the government will reflect that of the people. When the government gets elected in Britain, Britain is a conservative country. It just is. It's not a mantra. It really is a conservative country. The majority of people there like things as they are and don't want them to change. And that's sad, you know. They don't have the wanderlust gene. Okay, fair enough. They don't have the migration gene. They may have a different gene. You know, may have a religious gene that I don't have. But they don't have it. And you know, okay, fair enough. However, there is an intrinsic need for humans to feel a sense of belonging. And if we don't offer that to people on the left, we will lose them and we'll never gain any extra people. There's an old mantra, isn't there? Those on the right look for converts, those on the left look for traitors. And it's very true. And you see this when, you know, when I end up talking to someone like Owen Jones at the Labour Party conference, and he's like, you know, he wants to make me out to be a big traitor because I didn't always vote for Labour. And this is the guy who just in the last election left Labour to vote to support the Greens. And it's like, all right, mate, yeah, all right, if you say so. You know, it's a problem when I do it, but when he does it, it's fine. But the reality is, I've got friends who vote Green. I've got friends who stood for the Rejoin Party. I've got friends who are Lib Dems, very good friends who are Lib Dems. I've stood as a Lib Dem councillor in Liverpool. And, you know, this idea that we have to have this sort of turf war where it's like, oh, and it always shocked me. I was round at a friend's house. I always remember this. It was the 2004 election when George W. Bush got re-elected, and we were watching the election with my politics friends just in the mate's flat near Sefton Park in Liverpool. And one of his mates was very, 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 very Labour, very Labour. And he was going off on one about the Lib Dems. And I was like, but the Tories? But the Tories? And he's like, no, but the Lib Dems, you don't understand, Graham. The Lib Dems, they want to open porn parlours next door to schools, within 100 metres of schools. That's what they want. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not in the manifesto. Well, they voted against it. I'm like, well, they're the opposition. They're part of the opposition, I guess. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but like, why are you getting so angry about the Liberal Democrats? Like, how can you get so vexed about the Liberal Democrats? You know, maybe if you're a Liberal Democrat voter who voted for them in 2010 and then they didn't just keep tuition fees, they made them go up and propped up the austerity government of David Cameron. Maybe then you could get very vexed about the Lib Dems, but this is back in 2004. And I just found it very odd. I just thought, well, shouldn't you be working together? You know, just in case in a future election, maybe there's not enough seats to go around and you have to team up with them. Anyway, being on the spectrum, I'm really annoying bastard with an exaggerated sense of justice. I had that too, and that's why Donald Trump is my bête noire. He is an anathema to me. Like, he is the most disgraceful human being that has ever fucking lived. Because not only has he done all these horrific things, he has raped women. He has sexually assaulted women and possibly children. He's got away with it. And not only got away with it, he's been rewarded for it. And my innate sense of justice just screams at that. I'll never get over it. I'll never go, oh, well, you know, it's just the way things turn out, isn't it? No, my brain won't let me do that. I'll be raging against this injustice for the rest of my life. I'm pretty fucking sure. Right, what else have we got in here? Lol, Graham, I have friends who are sort of dubious politically, but they have to interact with them. And hey, apart from the politics, I like them. Says Scott. Yeah, I mean, but I wasn't talking about, you know, people who support a different party. You know, this is a guy who's Labour and he's having a pop at the Lib Dems. So I'm thinking, you know, let's get all the progressives together, the Lib Dems and the Greens and the SNP and Plaid Cymru, and you know, work together on shit against the Tories, against Refuck, against Murdoch, against Lord Rothermere and the Barclay brother, against Richard Desmond. the purveyor of smut, readers' wives, Richard Desmond, Razzle. Richard Desmond made all his money through selling bongo mags in the 1980s and then used that money to further enrich his empire by buying the Express and making it into an even worse cesspool, sewer of right-wing reactionary nonsense than it ever formerly been, which is quite something because it's always been a shit newspaper. It's always been a shit rag. Kakostasy, Kakioskri, I can't even pronounce that. The ruler of the very worst of the very worst. Yep, that's what we've got. Leapchin says, I'm thinking of standing for council seat, but I don't know how about doing it. How did you manage going? I was part of the Remain campaign after the referendum, and through that I ended up meeting a lot of Lib Dems who were very much against Brexit. The Labour were not particularly useful at that time for people who didn't want Brexit to happen because of the leader they had, and so the Lib Dems was kind of the only show in town that could actually, bring some muscle to the situation when it came to doing something about Brexit, even though at the time they only had 12 MPs. At least they were singing from the right hymn sheet as far as I was concerned. And yeah, you just meet people. I went to the Lib Dem conference down in Brighton in 2018, and then I spoke at some Lib Dem events about Brexit, and the Lib Dem coordinator in Liverpool just got in touch with me and said we need a paper candidate, which is someone who doesn't expect to win, for your seat in Liverpool, in Notty Ash, as in we're the little diddy man who come from Notty Ash, because that's where I grew up. I wasn't expecting to win. I did it twice, and one time I wasn't even in the country when the election happened. It was only a local election, but it was simply a case of being a paper candidate. I'm sure that if I wanted to pursue that, I could have, kept pushing and said, "Can I have something that I might actually win?" In Liverpool, and I could have gone that route, but I moved to Durham, and I don't really want to be a councillor. I don't really want to be a politician. Or just stand on the sidelines and throw rotten fruit. Cathal, €5. Thank you very much. It brings our super chat total today up to £20. Thank you. And 17p. Morning, Graham. Apologies for abuse of the platform, but would you please recommend my introverted sister-in-law to go to the 50th down the local tonight? Okay, Cathal's introverted sister-in-law, go down the local tonight, all right? It's not far. It's only the local. If you don't like it, you can leave. But just just make an appearance. Just make an appearance. And you know what? It's a pub. If you want, you can just sit in the corner quietly. Having a drink. Everyone's having a good time. It'd be good. It'll be good to get out of the house, especially in this snowy weather. There you go. I hope that worked. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. May Friggs and love and wisdom guide you. Great badges. Oh, that's very nice. Cheers, Graham. Echo that, Ultron. People need to be passionate. Yes, they do. And that's something that I think is, it's one of those things that the people on the left can be exceptionally passionate about stuff. Sorry, it's very hot here. Do you like me blackbirds are making strange noises again? And whistling in the background. There are some exciting people. People who get very passionate and excited about this stuff. The bird makes the most ridiculous noises. I'm from Manchester too, as well as being annoying. You're not annoying, Acro Dave. And I used to go to uni in Manchester. I lived there for many years. It's all right. It's all right. It does rain all the time, though. Oh my God, it rains. I saw somewhere where it said that Liverpool rains just as much as Manchester, and I was like, no, it doesn't. And then I realised, actually, it's probably right. Except in Liverpool, it'll rain, like proper rain. And so you'll just get say you have a week, you'll have one day of proper rain. Whereas in Manchester, you'll have 7 days to drizzle. So it's the same amount of water, technically speaking, but it never stops drizzling. You never get dry. You never, ever get dry. Raining now. That bird is loud, to Sarah Davis. Yes, he is. It's going to be great, Plum Duff. So yeah, I'm going to round up in a moment, but at the moment, I will say, yeah, I think that people get the government they deserve to some extent, but it's not necessarily their fault. I see it like someone who commits manslaughter. Yeah, they should definitely go to jail, but the intention wasn't there. It's not murder, is it? I don't say it's just manslaughter, but there wasn't an intent to kill, and yet they killed. That's the way I see it at the moment when I look at sort of demographics of people and the way they vote and everything, because they're manipulated. They're clearly manipulated because they're in this constant state of confusion. They're in this constant state of terror because of climate change. The sword of Damocles that is climate change. Some people will prefer to deny that's actually happening. You know, the 5 stages of grief isn't denial is the first one, and I don't think some people have ever moved past that. And then you've got the confusion, you've got the terror, and you've just got the lack of time. You know, the lack of time. And this manipulation by the right, by the billionaires, the neo aristocrats, these cigar chomping wankers who go out and shoot beautiful animals who don't need to be dead. They have so much power over the narrative. They have so much power over the means of communication. And this is something that we need to take back. We need to take back the means of communication, and we have the tools to do it, and we have the talent to do it. All we need is the fucking money. Just give us the money. Give us the fucking money. I've rather enjoyed these Panama broadcasts. Thanks, Graham. Oh, thank you, Plum Duff, for enjoying them. I'll be back in the morning at, in the morning for me, 8 o'clock for me, 1 p.m. for you on Sunday, hopefully. The door just slammed. I think that was the wind. So someone just walked out in a huff. Oh, I can't believe you're back again tomorrow, Graham. I'll be back again tomorrow at 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. for you lot. Hopefully, I'll have this edition of The Intersection up by the end of the weekend for you to watch. That lovely Rachel has put together for us. And yeah, until next time, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Give us a like on the way out if you haven't already given us a like. And if you have any other ideas for how we can improve things going forward so that our governments actually adequately reflect what we want. Okay, let's not talk about reflecting the mindset of the population, the psyche of the nation. No, not that, but what we want. Then put it in the comments. Add it to the comments. There's a link in the comments if you want to help save Ginger Island. We've still got a lot of work to do here. We're probably about 3/4 of the way through fixing up the island. I'll try and do a bespoke video for you guys on YouTube about it today or tomorrow, but it's going to be rain dependent. I can't walk around the island with the camera in the pouring rain. But I don't have an umbrella. But yeah, if you would feel so inclined, donating a few bags of soil would go down a treat. The soil costs about £1 a bag to get over here, because don't forget they're bringing it on a boat, and we've got to pay the guys and everything to bring it over, and they're working long hours, so I had no problem paying that. It's and also it's helping the local economy here in Bogus. But we probably need at least another 1,000 bags before the job is complete. And the problem is, if we don't do a complete job, if we only build 3/4 of the wall to stop the Mexicans getting into America, the Mexicans will just go round the wall like you've built, and the tide will do exactly the same thing on this island. So let me go and lock that door so it stops banging in the background. And until next time, I'll say thanks for watching. Check out the link in the chat, in the description, to throw some money into the pot for saving Ginger Island from the ravages of climate change. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Boop.